Good morning, everybody. First, before I get into the subject, I want to tell you that Bonnie, I haven't looked at the wound because I want to stay together. I want her wing to stay down. I don't want her to start to lift it up and open the wound up. So she's wrapped with, at first I tried vet wrap, and you know, they put that on you when you have your blood taken in the hospital, that stretchy bandage. That's vet wrap. You get it at feed stores. But it doesn't stick. So I do have another alternative. I have a stretchy headband. It's like a long tube, and I think I could put that over her body and just let it stretch over her body, and I think that'll hold her wing satisfactorily down. But anyway, she had a major appetite this morning. I took her a special little container of scrambled eggs with shaved off beef liver because we got her half cow, and I'll put some pictures of the freezer. Oh my goodness. We got her half cow, and with that there are certain things you could get free with it, just included, and we included beef liver. So I've been going off an old freezer burned piece of liver forever, and so I didn't throw that away and get this new piece of liver. But anyway, I shaved her some liver. I put her some a crushed aspirin. I put her what I do something, polyvisol vitamins, you know, the baby vitamins, liquid vitamins, but without iron. Chickens don't need a lot of iron, and that's why you don't put a lot of liver. But liver is a big punch of B vitamins, and it helps with leg injuries, so I thought, well, can't hurt. And she has antibiotic water. I hope she's drinking. I'll have to see if she's actually drinking it. But she ate that entire, you know, little bitty yogurt cups. She ate the entire thing of eggs, and she was looking for other stuff, so I gave her some of her 14 grain scratch, and she was happy, and she was singing at eating. So she seems pretty, see, this is why I didn't know that anything was wrong with her. She's been acting pretty much fine, and there was no blood anywhere, so I wouldn't have known to check for an injury exactly. Plus Bash is not a really aggressive breeder normally, and it could have not have been Bash, or somebody could have grabbed her wing and she fell off the roost and pulled her wing up. That could have happened. So, but she's doing okay for now. She's 7 years old, so I really don't want to stress her out by taking her to a vet, because stress can kill a chicken. So I'm going to try to treat it here. A lot of chickens have lost wings and have survived. They heal amazingly well as long as you have you avoid infection. And this was already dried out underneath the wing, so I think it had been done for at least a couple days or more, and it wasn't full of dirt. I've had to stitch up hens' wounds on their sides when they were full of dirt. That involved a major clean out first. This was pretty clean. So I just sprayed it with Vetericin spray, made for poultry antibiotic, antimicrobial antibiotic, anti-everything, and saturated the wound with that. And then I packed it full of triple antibiotic ointment and taped her wing to her body. So time will tell. But I did want to talk about something I don't normally talk about. And well, I do mention it in passing, but I really want to talk about, where that was, your health as far as in being part of your preps for SHTF or anything coming our way, because we don't even know what's happening. We don't know what's going to happen. It's ramping up to be something that I don't think any of us could have actually accurately predicted. So if we're going to endure what we're about to endure and what we are enduring, but if it gets worse, your health is paramount as one of your preps. No one achieves true health through fake or harmful foods, bugs, or fake medical interventions. Real or fake medical interventions. They don't promote health. They may manage conditions, but they don't promote actual health, which means you don't need medications most of the time, except for maybe something genetic. But you know, we're not talking about weight loss here. We're talking about promoting true, real health. That means you can avoid the medical complex. But weight loss, my health journey began with weight loss because my mother put sugar in everything. You know, I could eat green beans and have sugar. I could eat pork chops and had sugar coating, you know, like very, very sugary, sweet coatings on it. So it didn't matter if I was getting good food or not, supposedly good food. It was still laced with the poison known as sugar. No, we don't need sugar. We're talking refined sugar here. We don't need sugar. But anyway, when I was about 16 years old, I had gained a lot of weight. I was a lot heavier. I was about 25 pounds heavier than I am now when I graduated high school at 16. And I've been that heavy and much heavier after I had my thyroid malfunction over 20-something years ago. But my first weight loss was on the Maxwell Stillman diet. You remember Max Stillman? Maxwell Stillman was before Atkins. He was the precursor to Atkins. I don't even remember exactly what was on that. I'd have to go back and find my old the Stillman diet book. And I thought, I'm going to do this. I was motivated. In the first 30 days, I lost 35 pounds. My body had never seen a restriction before. But anyway, I was a sugar addict. So the weight loss didn't hold because I was still addicted to the sugar. And, one day, we were in the military, and one day I thought, hey, no, this is not the way to live. I need to quit the sugar. This is killing me. So the next day, cold turkey, I stopped all sweets, cookies, candies, anything you think of as sweets. Now, for a while, I did eat some of those snack crackers, the ones like chicken and a biscuit and things like that, which are basically end up being sugar anyway, but they were not immediate sugar. So, and then I realized you're trading one addiction for another. You can't do that either, so I quit that too. But, and I rarely ate any crackers, boxed crackers anymore, but it was one of my weaknesses, as was cereal. And anyway, after I abstained for 20 years, and then I thought, I wonder if I'm still really addicted to this. And my husband had gotten some cookies or something, and I ate a cookie, and I thought, oh, that's good, but it's not like over the moon wonderful. And I realized that my addiction was actually broken, because you're talking about somebody who could eat entire giant 1-pound bags of mixed chocolates like Bridge Mix. You know what Bridge Mix is? I could eat the whole big bag by myself and not even get nauseous. I couldn't do that now. I wouldn't even attempt to do that. But anyway, so I wasn't eating exactly right. In October 2021, you know what happened to me with the tree. We were cutting down the tree, it fell, and it went rogue and flipped the wrong direction. The butt end came up and scraped across my head, hit my shoulder, pushed me down, and caused a compression fracture on my left leg, and then threw me backwards. And if I had not been on my way to much better health, I don't think I would have recovered as well as I did. But at that point, I think there was 2 years ago next month, I was already ketovore, meaning a mostly meat-based ketogenic diet. No keto snacks, none of those things in the stores where it says keto friendly, keto this, keto desserts. No keto desserts. Okay, desserts are a trigger. Can't do that. So I was making mostly meats, some roasted vegetables, and not really any fruits except for rarely. And I had done that. I did that for about 2 years, and then I graduated I had done that for about 2 years. I was graduating slowly up to carnivore, more carnivore, eating less vegetables. Vegetables we eat, we basically are ones we grow and can here. But I haven't eaten any vegetables in a long time. So, I'm hypothyroid, which slows metabolism. And I've been that way since way before we moved here 21 years ago. And that Synthroid is the only medication that I take. I'm almost 67. That's the only medication that I take. Not a lot of people my age can say that. They have cabinets full of medications. But I've been on this carnivore journey for a while now. Remember, it's not a weight loss journey. This is a health promoting journey. It's not just to improve, but to bulletproof your immune system by healing you from the inside out. The journey, the point of this video is the journey toward near perfect health is really, it's not linear for most people. There are a lot of ups and downs. You may fall off the wagon. I have had very few slips off that wagon because I just don't have the desire anymore. It has curbed my hunger. I'm not always starving. Now, when I get hungry, it's true hunger because all of a sudden it hits me like a brick. I said, I've got to eat something. I'm going to get nauseated. I've got to eat something now. And it's carnivore. It's fried eggs or even a couple of all beef hot dogs without the bun, you know, just maybe with mustard or something, just all beef hot dogs on a plate, that is fine. I'm not worried about the nitrites and nitrates. Those people think those are cancer causing, but according to Dr. Ken Berry, there's no evidence that suggests that. There's literally no evidence that says that is the case. So, you know, it depends on what you want. You can get uncured bacon, okay? Uncured bacon, uncured hot dogs, and that kind of thing. So you can do that. You don't have to eat that, but I just have the regular all beef ballpark hot dogs when I do have hot dogs, which isn't that often anymore. But you know, some even gain weight at the beginning of carnivore journey. Or a point later on, they initially lose weight, and then all of a sudden their weight starts to creep back up, and they get disheartened. But this is what I want to tell you. You spent your life trashing your health. And depending on how old you are, depends on how long you've been doing it. And you've spent your entire life getting your body so confused by eating the wrong foods, destructive foods. The body's signals are all messed up. And it's not entirely your fault because of the bad information that's being guided by Big Pharma and the food industry. Everything they tell you, every grain they want you to eat, oh, this is healthy, it's whole grain. No, it's not. It's dangerous. No, it isn't. You've got to break that old mindset. But it's not really your fault. But if you start this way of eating, or if you ease into it, some people need to ease into it. They need to just stop eating everything except meat, vegetables, and fruits. The edges of the grocery store. You know what I mean? The outside edges, not the center aisles where all the convenience foods are. Get that? So, but if you start this, and your body has been abused for so many years, maybe not intentionally, but in effect it was. If you've been eating seed oils, you've been poisoning yourself all this time. I didn't know about seed oils early on, but now I don't eat those. Something might get into my diet on rare occasion, but we don't eat seed oils anymore. So we cook in animal fats, lard, butter, beef fat, that kind of thing. But because even though it's not your fault, if you decide to go back to promoting your own health and being your own advocate, the body takes a long time to recalculate itself sometimes. Some people take longer than others, depending on your condition. Your body's signals are really like a GPS. They recalculating all your moves, recalculating what this, and sometimes a GPS, even a GPS, a real one, gets confused, and it'll send you in circles. And when it does, you really have to ignore the wrong directions when you realize it's the wrong directions, and keep heading down the right path, and eventually you'll get to where you want to be. And it may take years. But see, this is not a diet. This is the way you eat forever. This is a better, more healthy way of eating. And before people say, oh, meat can cause heart disease and that has actually been proven to not be true. Cholesterol in your food has no bearing on cholesterol in your body. New studies support that. I think even the American Heart Association, that is so ridiculously screwed up, even they are starting to report that there's no evidence that saturated fat, animal fat, messes with your cholesterol. And even if it did, who cares? Because the cholesterol readings, only the HDL, which is called good cholesterol, and the triglycerides, those are the only ones that matter. And LDL is not bad cholesterol. LDL has a purpose. It transports these nutrients through your body. And it protects your cells. You have to have fat to protect all your cells, the cells in your body, especially women. But, if you're starting out this and all you care about is your weight loss, if you stick with it, you're going to see a lot of benefits, probably even before the weight loss actually happens. It's called healing. It's called healing. Healing takes time, and you're not going to go back to the standard American diet, also called SAD, and it is sad. It's very sad. This is a new way of eating. It's sustainable for the long haul. And when you're frustrated with the scale, remember the scale can't tell you what healing is happening inside your body. At any given moment, it can't tell you that. So trust the process. This is a new life, not a weight loss diet. And when all the switches are flipped back to their proper settings, when all that GPS gets all recalculated and figures out its direction, the way it's supposed to go, and all the switches get flipped back to the right positions, and healing's an optimal point, your weight is going to regulate itself. Whether you are underweight, as a friend of mine is, and is seeing a lot of benefits from carnivore eating now, used to be plant-based, entirely plant-based. And at a certain time, most of the time she would eat a little meat, but it's mostly plant-based. Always had issues, digestive issues, skin issues, fibromyalgia, all this kind of stuff. But she's seeing major benefits from starting carnivore. And I'm so happy to see that, because I like her around for a very long time. And I'd like her to feel good. We all want to feel good. Who doesn't want to feel good, right? And I realized how bad I felt. Now that I feel really good, I realized I didn't feel that good before. Even when I thought I did, I didn't. There was always something wrong. So yeah, many eat this way to heal their health issues that are keeping them super thin, like my friend. And yeah, the way you know things are getting better is more in the regard to your measurements, because your body will reshape itself quietly. Even if the scale doesn't move 1 pound, you're going to see inches lost. Your body is reshaping everything to the right proportions and where it's supposed to be. And that takes a long time. So your body's reshaping itself. You'll find your clothes are looser or tighter if you're too thin. Maybe your watch band has to be tighter, your belt pulled in another notch. Even though you don't know, well, how can that be, because I'm not losing any weight? I stalled out for 2 years. Before my accident in 2021, I had been at the same weight, which was about 25 pounds lower than I was previously, in previous years when I moved here. I was already about 25 pounds lighter. And I stalled out at that weight for probably 10 years, literally 10 years. But I wasn't carnivore, or actually ketovore. I wasn't eating bad, but I was still consuming some sugar and seed oils. When I stopped all that, all of a sudden, boom, 25 pounds gone, 20 pounds gone. 5 more has come off recently. And I was stuck there for 2 years since my accident. I've been stuck at that, had been stuck at that weight for 2 years. Again, another stall. But it's not really a stall, it's a recalculation. Your body's still working on itself. So, you know, you got to remind, you know, I started thinking, oh gosh, I'm stalled again. Why am I stalled again? And then I thought, well, wait a minute, you're stalled out at 25 pounds later than you were stalled out for 10 years. So it's not all bad. It's not bad. But when I found my body was reshaping, all of a sudden I put on a shirt that had been tight around the hips. Or not tight, but it fit, like fit. And I realized it was loose. And I hadn't worn it for a whole season. I hadn't worn it since the last season I was wearing it. And it was loose around that area. I thought, that's reshaping. That is reshaping. But you know, when I tweaked my eating to more of a ketogenic and then ketovore type way, which was suggested literally by one of my doctors. And that wasn't a practical nurse, it was a doctor. No disrespect to practical nurses, but I prefer to have a doctor as my caretaker. And I'm going to get a new one, because the last one, practical nurse, and she didn't turn out so well. I thought for a while she was okay, but yeah, she didn't like what I was doing exactly. But the doctor I had, the doctor that passed away suddenly, that I was so upset about, my favorite doctor I think of all time, she kept giving me these handouts. I kept saying, I can't understand why my weight is going up. I'm only eating this and this and then that. You know, I'm only eating these small meals for breakfast and lunch, and then I'm eating an okay dinner. Why is my weight stalled out? I can't lose weight. I don't know what's going on. And she said, well, your thyroid readings are in line. She said, you may need this. And it was, in retrospect, I realized it was keto. And she also said women sometimes, to get a weight stall shaken loose, she said sometimes you have to do some intermittent fasting. And that doesn't mean going entirely without food necessarily. You can do that. But I can't. I have a hard time doing that. What you do is you can either eat breakfast and lunch and don't eat anything else until the next day at breakfast. That whole period where you're not eating is the fasting period. It's usually 16 to 18 hours. Or you can eat lunch and dinner, and then you don't eat again until the next lunch. And you know, that is your fasting period. But she was really in tune, and then I lost her, and that just upset me so bad because she's the only one that's ever recommended that for me, ever. And when I found out it worked and I was doing great, I wanted to tell her, look what I've done, and she was gone. So, you know, stalls happen. My weight is now in the proper BMI range. It's normal. It's in the normal range. I've never been in the normal range since I was 19 years old. Right now, I weigh what I did at 19 years old when I got married. But you got to trust the process. You have to envision the healing happening inside your body and that little GPS, doing its little calculations, and get involved with things other than food, you know, creative activities, take walks in the fresh air and sunshine, which is massively therapeutic in weight loss and sleep. So, you know, I had been at that plateau after my after my accident for about 2 years, and suddenly I dropped a couple of pounds. I don't weigh myself hardly ever because I can tell if I gain anything or if I feel bloated because I can tell the way my pants fit, or I can see it in my fingers. I can see that. So I don't really pay attention to the scale. But I thought, you know, because it used to be a trigger for me. If I gain a little weight, it's like, oh my God, I got to do it. I got to get stricter. That's the mindset I used to have. Now I don't even look at the scale, hardly ever. But when I felt like I was thinner, I stepped on the scale. I lost 2 pounds suddenly without changing anything I ate. Nothing. So, you know, I did actually back off the heavy cream. I have cream in my coffee. I limit it. I use a teaspoon and I measure 3 teaspoons in my cup of coffee in the morning. If I have the rest of it iced later in the day, I only put 1 teaspoon in there, so it saves that. But I backed off a little bit by doing it that way, instead of having 2 cups in the morning with all the cream. And you know, sometimes I put whipped cream on my coffee too. I mean, I started that when I was doing Atkins many years ago when I was a kid. It's just a habit, and it's, you know, I backed off of a lot of that. Of course, when you have iced coffee, you don't necessarily put whipped cream on it. So, you know, that's also going back on the dairy. I don't eat a lot of cheese. But I think that's probably why I've started to drop a little weight. Dairy can mess you up. And I'm talking cream, milks. Now, I have a Greek yogurt once a day. It is no artificial sweeteners, no sugar. It's sweetened with stevia. It's Oikos 000 is what I have. And it has pretty decent ingredients, honestly. So I have one of those a day normally. But, you know, I have very little cheese. I have a sprinkle of it on my eggs in the morning sometimes. Maybe on a hamburger, you know, hamburger bowl or whatever. But it's grass-fed local beef. And I have butter and some pork, rarely chicken. I don't eat much chicken anymore. I don't really care for it. I've had so much tough chicken from Walmart, I just didn't want it anymore. I could have bought it from the butcher, but I just don't really have a taste for it anymore. My husband, he's all about the variety. But, you know, my sleep is still an issue. And I think a lot of that has to do with stress of our daily lives right now. I think that's what it has to do with more than anything else. But I was losing interest even when the weight wasn't coming off as per the scale. I used to have migraines twice a year, just once or twice a year. Literally, that was all it was. But when it hit me, I got so sick, I got so nauseated, it wouldn't go away. And all of a sudden the throwing up started, and I couldn't stop it. And I'd have to go to the ER with a cup to throw up in. Seriously, that's disgusting, but that's how bad my migraines were. And I had to go and get their cocktail that they put, you know, I don't know, it's got Demerol and who knows what else in there for migraines, to get it IV and get it to stop. I had to do that. And twice a year. I haven't had a migraine in probably 6 or 7 years. I'm not even sure when the last one was. So it killed the migraines. Now I have a little minor headachy thing when I've got sinuses. You know, like right now, there's things flying all over the pasture. So I might develop a little bit of a headachy thing, but not a migraine, nothing like that. So that's gone. But I tell you what, be prepared. Some people are going to tell you that this is dangerous. And some uninformed doctors will quote bad studies that were bought and paid for by the food industry and Big Pharma. That's kind of like paying attention, not giving free rein to the fox in the hen house. And they've suppressed studies. There's been doctors like Dr. Paul Mason on YouTube that has showed how he said, well, here's a study that says this and this, but he said if you really read the study, it's what the results were is actually different from their summary conclusion. He said this is a little bit of smoke and mirrors to get what they want, the results that they want from that study. And a lot of studies that prove my way of eating have been suppressed. But lately, things are they're shaking loose a little bit. But there are all kinds of channels on YouTube, various forms of keto, ketovore, carnivore. There's Dr. Ken Berry. He's a carnivore. His wife has Hashimoto's disease. She's hypothyroid. She doesn't take medications, and she's more ketovore. He's carnivore, she's ketovore. He can't eat the fruit and the vegetables. He starts to gain weight and have other issues. But, you've got Dr. Berry, you've got his wife Neisha. Neisha, Neisha, has her own channel. It's a little bit different than his. They do live streams together also. Kathy Hogan, My Zero Carb Life, all one word, no caps. My Zero Carb Life, Kelly Hogan. Her story is amazing. You really need to watch that one. She is amazing, and she has all kinds of really wonderful interviews with other people. Dr. Anthony Chaffee. Now there's a guy who looks kind of buff. He eats only meat and salt. That's it. He doesn't eat anything else. Dr. Paul Mason, Dr. Shawn Baker, Dr. Eric Westman. I think the lady's name is Rachel at 5 Minute Body, and Carnivore Quest, the couple, Larry and Cassie. Great carnivore channels. And then if you are on the thin side and you're having all kinds of issues with your skin and your autoimmune disorders and all kinds of stuff, you might want to watch Ribeye Rach. It's called Ribeye Rach. Her name's Rachel, and she was extremely thin and very unhealthy, and she started eating carnivore because of that to heal, and she's healed. So, you've got to take care of yourself. This is what's going to happen in the future. Everything starts from your health. Everything. Whether you can survive something starts from your health. And if you want to do some walking and some more exercise, you can. I've seen a lot of very heavy people doing way too much cardio at the beginning. They could literally have a heart attack and die because they are like 300 pounds overweight. But they, take your hand weights like I do. Just do your arm lifts, do this thing and do the biceps, triceps. Do everything you can think of with your arms. And you don't have to have heavy, heavy weights. Persistence and consistency is the key to that. You will have all kinds of muscle mass. I've got very defined muscles. Yes, I've got 66-year-old skin. Sure I do. That's just what it is. But even that, I think, is getting a little bit better. So, women especially, this is most important because in the future, men are not going to take care of you. They're not what they used to be. Let's just say they're not what they used to be. And there's not a lot of real men out there. So you're going to have to step up and take care of yourself. Your guy may be guzzling his beer in front of the TV, but you can't be doing that with him. He's harming you if he wants you to do that with him. So you're going to have to take care of yourself and your children. Just you. It's your responsibility. You. You are your responsibility. Your health is not my responsibility, and my health is not your responsibility. Although the government wanted us to think that for the past few years. But, nobody can do this for you. It's up to you to become stronger and more healthy and more resistant to all the bugs around that created or natural, either one. You've got to be resistant to the bugs and also to what the poked juicers are expelling in their breath and causing other people to be sick. Your immune system has got to be ironclad. And I'm going to leave you with one thought. You cannot exercise away a bad diet. I don't care how many hours you spend in the gym. If you're eating seed oils and sugar and processed foods, it's not going to give you what you want. It's not going to give you the health that you think you're going to get. So, can't exercise away a destructive diet. Just remember that. So anyway, that's all. It's almost 30 minutes and I'm going to go. I hope this finds you well. And thanks a bunch for your support. Appreciate y'all.